Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That quiet that has settled around your life this week. Do not mistake it for absence. The enemy is working overtime for one reason, and one reason only. He has watched you do what he said could not be done. It all shifts now. The silence, the waiting, the season where it felt like nothing was moving. But understand this, it is not ending because the storm passed on its own. It is ending because of what you have done. Think back to that moment this week, or maybe it was longer ago than that, when every voice in your life and every voice inside your head told you to stop. They said the door was closed. They said the window had passed. They said you had waited too long, tried too hard, believed too much. And something in you, something quiet and unshakable, kept moving anyway. You did not celebrate it. You did not announce it. You simply refused to quit. You did not know it then, but that refusal was the impossible thing heaven had been waiting for. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment, and it was scheduled before the foundations of the earth were laid. You are standing at the exact threshold you were created to cross. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes I am going to hand you the legal decree that confirms what you have already accomplished in the Spirit. I am going to walk you through the exact moment your breakthrough became inevitable, even while you were still crying, still doubting, still unsure. And at the end, we are going to seal this verdict with a declaration that silences every voice that told you it was impossible. Do not click away. Your future self is on the other side of this message, and if you leave now, you leave before you hear the verdict that heaven has already rendered over your life. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere around you has not been loud. It has been watchful, like the moment after a battle when the dust begins to settle and everyone pauses to see who is still standing. Maybe you have been moving through your days this week feeling strangely unseen, like the effort you have been pouring out is disappearing into silence. Or maybe you noticed that certain people who used to have something to say about your life have gone quiet. The ones who doubted you, the ones who whispered behind you, the ones who smiled at your struggle, and something in you has been trying to figure out what that silence means. You feel like you are on the edge of something enormous, but you cannot fully see it yet. Like standing at a door that is about to open but has not moved. And in that threshold, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your thoughts right now. He is telling you that the silence around you is proof that nothing happened. He is replaying that moment. Maybe it was last week, maybe it was 6 months ago, when you made the choice no one saw. That moment when you kept going with no applause. That moment when you believed with no evidence. That moment when you did the thing that felt invisible and impossible, and you did it anyway. And the accuser is standing over that moment, telling you it was not enough. He is telling you that what you did was ordinary, that it did not count, that the people watching your life have moved on and forgotten. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Psalm 126:2 says, "Then our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. Then they said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them." Listen to that. Then they said, not before, not during, after. After the impossible had been done, the nations, the watchers, the skeptics, the silent ones, opened their mouths, not to doubt you, to testify about you. The silence around you is not emptiness, it is preparation. They are not ignoring you. They are watching you. They are calculating what they are witnessing. They do not yet have the words for what they are seeing, because what you have done does not fit the category of ordinary human effort. The heaviness you feel is not the weight of failure. It is the weight of magnitude. It is what it feels like to carry something so significant that even the atmosphere around you has gone still in reverence of what is about to be declared. You think the impossible thing you did went unnoticed. You think because no one threw a parade, nothing was recorded. But let me reframe your reality right now. Heaven noticed. And the ones who doubted you, they noticed too. They are just not ready to say it out loud yet. But they will. That moment when you kept going in the dark was not weakness. That was the impossible thing. And now the watching has already begun. What you just witnessed in yourself, that refusal, that quiet act of impossible faith, was not a small thing. It was a legal transaction in the spirit realm, a divine declaration etched into the very fabric of eternity. Imagine, if you will, a courtroom not of mortal men, but of celestial beings, where the scales of justice are held by the Almighty, and the atmosphere vibrates with the weight of unseen realities. In that sacred space, your steadfastness, your unwavering choice to press on despite every internal and external resistance, presented an irrefutable case. Most people walk through life thinking breakthrough is merely a fortunate circumstance, a serendipitous alignment of events that happens to them. They envision it as a sudden arrival, perhaps on a sunny Tuesday, when the long-awaited email finally lands. The circumstances miraculously shift, the bank account swells with unexpected bounty, or the phone rings with that life-altering news. But this earthly understanding profoundly misses the majestic, profound operation of the kingdom of God. Breakthrough in heaven's economy is not an event that unfolds on a calendar. It is a verdict, a divine judgment already rendered. And verdicts, unlike fleeting moments, are not issued solely at the dramatic fall of the gavel, though that moment of public declaration is powerful. No, a verdict is undeniably established, irreversibly determined, the very instant the evidence presented becomes so overwhelming, so compelling, so absolutely undeniable that no other conclusion is possible. In that profound and silent space within you, when every whisper of doubt, every roar of circumstance, every voice of fear screamed at you to halt, to retreat, to surrender to the impossible, you chose otherwise. You dug your heels into the bedrock of your conviction. You breathed a prayer of defiant trust, and you kept moving forward, even if only by an inch, even if only in your heart. In that magnificent, solitary moment, you presented heaven with a body of evidence so pure, so potent, so irrefutable, that the verdict was sealed. It was rendered then, in the unseen, beyond the veil of your current understanding. All that remains now is for you to step across the threshold, to enter the divine courtroom, and to hear that already decided verdict read aloud, proclaimed over your life for all the realms to witness. The physical manifestation, the tangible shift you yearn for, is simply the echo of a spiritual reality that has already been irrevocably established by your unyielding faith. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now, allow me to illuminate the true narrative of that dark, bewildering season you endured, for the enemy, the accuser of the brethren, spun a deceitful tale, narrating your experience one way, while heaven, with its infinite wisdom and unwavering love, was meticulously crafting and inscribing something entirely, gloriously different. While the relentless whispers of the accuser sought to convince you that your delay, your quiet suffering, your perceived stagnation was irrefutable evidence of your profound failure, a sign of God's disfavor, or perhaps even an indication that you had been forgotten, the Almighty was, in his unfathomable wisdom, doing precisely what he consistently does with every soul he has meticulously chosen for assignments that seem utterly impossible to the human eye. He was not neglecting you. He was building. He was forging within you, brick by spiritual brick, the kind of robust, resilient, unshakable character that could not only withstand but gracefully carry the monumental weight of the destiny, the calling, the release, and the blessing he was about to entrust to your hands. You see, the divine principle is simple yet profound. You cannot responsibly or lovingly entrust a fragile, untested vessel with an enormous, world-changing weight. It's not that God lacks the desire to bless you abundantly in your raw, undeveloped state. Quite the contrary, his heart yearns to lavish his goodness upon you. But divine love, true, unwavering and protective love, does not act carelessly or unwisely. Love, in its purest form, always prepares the carrier first, ensuring that the vessel is not shattered by the very gift it is meant to hold. And this preparation, this deep internal metamorphosis, when viewed from our limited human perspective, so often looks heartbreakingly identical to abandonment. It manifests as a profound silence from the heavens, a stillness that stretches into what feels like an eternity, an experience of being overlooked and passed over while everyone else around you appears to be surging forward, their lives illuminated by momentum and obvious progress. Think of David, the shepherd boy, anointed by Samuel to be king, the sacred oil still glistening on his youthful brow. The anointing, the divine empowerment, had already been given. The throne, the royal decree, had already been promised. Yet, for years, David found himself not in a palace, not leading armies, but back in the sun-drenched fields of Bethlehem, tending to the very sheep he had left behind, his days filled with the mundane rhythms of pastoral life. The preparation, the deep inner work, had not yet been fully completed. And here lies the crucial, often overlooked layer of this narrative. David, in those solitary fields, had no inkling, no human understanding of the profound divine alchemy unfolding within him. He simply believed he was just watching sheep, protecting them from predators, leading them to green pastures. He was utterly unaware that, in that quiet, seemingly insignificant season, God was meticulously developing within him the fierce, unyielding courage of a lion that would later fell giants and lead armies, the strategic precision of a warrior that would bring victory in battle, and the tender, compassionate heart of a poet king, capable of leading a nation with both strength and empathy, composing psalms that would echo through millennia. Every single attribute, every skill, every facet of character that the future king of Israel would critically need was being forged and refined in the crucible of the shepherd's wilderness. And from David's limited earthly vantage point, that wilderness, that season of waiting and obscurity, felt like a demotion, a setback, a forgotten promise, because he simply could not yet perceive the magnificent, divine architecture that heaven was diligently constructing within his very soul. That, my beloved, is precisely what your challenging season has been. It was never, not for a single moment, a demotion in the eyes of heaven. It was not a dismissal, nor was it evidence of your failure. Rather, it was a colossal divine construction site, teeming with unseen activity, echoing with the sound of spiritual blueprints being laid, foundations being poured, and character being fortified for the monumental purpose ahead. And the intriguing, often paradoxical truth about any profound construction site, especially a spiritual one, is that it is almost always loudest, most chaotic, and most intensely active before the ultimate beauty of the structure begins to emerge. There are phases of drilling, hammering, the clatter of materials, the shouts of workers, a cacophony that obscures the design. Yet there comes a critical juncture, sometimes in the final, most delicate stage of construction, when everything seems to fall strangely, profoundly quiet. This silence, this cessation of outward noise, is not a sign of abandonment or cessation of work. It is in fact an indicator of the most sacred, intricate work being assembled. It is a period where the finishing touches, the profound alignments, the most delicate and vital connections are being made, connections too holy, too deeply significant for the intrusion of external clamor. This sacred stillness is where the masterpiece takes its final, breathtaking form, often in the quietude preceding its grand unveiling. But here is where the revelation goes even deeper, a layer that demands your complete presence and attention, for it is precisely this profound understanding that most individuals, even those on a spiritual path, never quite manage to reach. It is not merely sufficient, it is not enough to intellectually grasp that God was preparing you, that your difficult seasons were indeed purposeful, a crucible of character. That is a foundational truth, yes, but it is only the beginning. The truly transformative insight lies in understanding what He was preparing you for, the specific divine assignment, the unique purpose that stands on the other side of your breakthrough. For if you, by some tragic misstep, misread your assignment, if you enter the grand hall of your breakthrough carrying the wrong map, you will inevitably step through that long-awaited door, receive the very thing you have been believing for, and yet, paradoxically, find yourself standing amidst answered prayer, feeling a profound, unsettling hollowness. A strange emptiness will echo within your spirit, and you will not comprehend its origin. The tears may indeed come, but they will be confused tears, born not of joy and clarity, but of a disorienting paradox. Because in that moment, you will have received the physical promise, the tangible blessing, but you will have tragically missed the deeper, more profound purpose for which it was bestowed. Consider Joseph, whose breakthrough was far more expansive than merely being plucked from the darkness of a prison cell and elevated to Pharaoh's right hand. While his promotion was undeniably monumental, his true, profound breakthrough arrived in that pivotal moment when he received the full revelation of his assignment. He understood with crystal clarity that the agonizing pit, the searing pain of betrayal by his own brothers, the years of unjust imprisonment and false accusation, none of it had been personal in the way he had once perceived it. It was not a series of arbitrary misfortunes aimed at his destruction. Instead, every wound, every heartbreak, every seemingly senseless suffering had been meticulously, divinely positional. Each scar was a marker, each loss a deliberate, strategic preparation, designed to sculpt him into the precise individual needed for the monumental task of preserving nations. And once he grasped the magnitude of his true assignment, once the profound purpose illuminated the shadows of his past, the raw, visceral pain of those experiences did not simply vanish or disappear as if they had never happened. No, that pain was far more powerfully redeemed. It was consecrated. It was given profound meaning, woven into the tapestries of his destiny. And meaning, my friends, is not just a comfort. It is the most robust, enduring, and powerful compass a human being can possibly carry into their future, guiding every step with clarity and unwavering resolve. So as you stand poised at the threshold of what is now undeniably opening for you, before you take that momentous step through the door of manifestation, pause for a sacred moment. Look inward, not with anxiety, but with profound intentionality, and ask yourself a question of paramount importance. Not merely, what am I receiving from God, but rather, with a heart attuned to stewardship and divine intent, ask, what am I being sent to do with it? What is the profound, kingdom-centric purpose behind this blessing, this breakthrough, this new season? And what is coming next in your journey, the final stretch towards manifestation, will very likely surprise you, perhaps even startle you, because it is an almost universal phenomenon that unfolds with uncanny predictability when individuals find themselves standing this intimately close to the very door of their destiny. Because here is a pattern, a profound psychological and spiritual dynamic that I have observed unfolding relentlessly over and over again in the lives of countless individuals who are standing precisely where you are standing right now, at the precipice of their longed-for breakthrough. Just as the monumental door of opportunity begins its slow, deliberate swing open, just as the long, often isolating silence of preparation starts to subtly shift into something audibly promising, something profound within their innermost being begins to panic. It's not the familiar, weary voice of intellectual doubt that has long plagued them. That voice, by this stage, has usually been utterly exhausted, its arguments having been dismantled by the sheer endurance of faith. No, this is something far deeper, more insidious than mere doubt. It is a subtle internal tremor, a profound unsettling that often masquerades as something profoundly virtuous, something that sounds almost like genuine wisdom, perhaps even spiritual prudence. It whispers with a deceptive gentleness. Are you really sure you are ready for this? Are you absolutely certain this is truly from God and not merely the fervent, perhaps misguided desire of your own heart? Have you truly considered if you are adequately qualified, if you possess the necessary attributes or strength for what lies on the other side of this monumental threshold? And on the surface, these questions sound so inherently spiritual, so deeply discerning, so wonderfully humble. They resonate with the echoes of piety and caution. But I implore you, with every fiber of my being, to hear this truth with absolute clarity and unwavering conviction. Delayed obedience is, in the ultimate analysis, still disobedience, regardless of how humble, how wise, or how spiritually discerning the hesitation might deceptively sound. Remember Moses at the burning bush. He stood before the very presence of God, bathed in divine fire and glory, and yet he presented the Almighty with no less than 5 distinct, meticulously crafted reasons why he was unequivocally not the right person for the monumental assignment of liberating Israel. 5 separate times he artfully dressed his deep-seated fear, his profound insecurity, in the sophisticated, logical garments of perceived inadequacy and humble unworthiness. And God, in that moment, did not celebrate Moses' supposed humility, nor did he commend his cautious self-assessment. On the contrary, the scripture records that God's anger, a righteous indignation against the unnecessary stalling of his divine will, burned against Moses' hesitation. Not because Moses was forbidden to feel fear, for fear is a natural human emotion, but because that very fear was being subtly yet powerfully weaponized to stall, to delay, to derail what heaven had already unequivocally authorized, decreed, and empowered him to accomplish. The pivotal question before you now is not whether you feel ready, for feelings are fickle and often lag behind spiritual reality. The true definitive question, the one that holds the key to your forward momentum, is whether God himself has definitively said, "Go," and if he has indeed uttered that divine imperative, if the word has gone forth from his lips, then your fluctuating emotions, your temporary anxieties, your transient feelings of unreadiness are not, and never have been, a prerequisite for obedience. They are merely passengers, accompanying you on this divinely ordained journey. They may sit in the back seat, they may express their anxieties, but they absolutely, unequivocally, Do not drive the vehicle of your destiny. The steering wheel belongs to God's command alone. This profound realization ushers us into a crucial truth that most individuals, especially those on the precipice of significant breakthrough, completely miss. And it is this singular insight that I want you to meticulously internalize and carry with you long after the echo of this message fades. There exists a critical, often indistinguishable difference between authentic spiritual warfare, the direct external opposition of the enemy, and what amounts to circular, self-defeating spiritual processing. And the tragic reality is that most people, finding themselves in these climactic breakthrough seasons, cannot accurately discern between the two. When they encounter resistance, when the pathway forward feels heavy or fraught with internal friction, their natural inclination is to retreat inward. They interpret every obstacle, every pang of discomfort, as a sign to halt, to analyze, to delve deeper into self-reflection. They meticulously journal about their feelings. They embark on extended fasts that, while valuable in their place, become detours rather than conduits. And tragically, they begin to construct elaborate theological frameworks around the perceived necessity of yet another prolonged waiting season, another period of introspection before action. Now let me be unequivocally clear. I am in no way dismissing the sacred, indeed indispensable value of genuine introspection, of prayerful self-examination, of seeking God's face in quiet contemplation. These are vital disciplines of the spiritual life. However, I must also reveal this critical distinction. Sometimes what intently looks and feels like legitimate spiritual warfare, a direct attack from the enemy, is actually a cunning, deceptive tactic orchestrated by the adversary to entice you, to manipulate you, to spiritually process your way out of movement. He knows with cunning precision that if he can successfully convince you to sit down one more time, to retreat into analysis, to question your readiness yet again, all under the guise of preparation or discernment, he can effectively, cunningly delay what God has already unequivocally authorized and prepared for your release. Consider the prophet Elijah after his magnificent triumph on Mount Carmel. Yet paradoxically, at the zenith of his spiritual power, he lay down under a solitary juniper tree, consumed by exhaustion and despair. He declared to God that he was utterly done, his spirit depleted, his body weary, his heart discouraged, having run as far and as fast as he possibly could. And what was heaven's response? Did the angel of the Lord engage in a lengthy therapy session, a deep dive into Elijah's trauma, asking him to meticulously recount every detail of the season he had endured, every wound, every fear? No. The divine instruction was direct, immediate, and utterly practical. Arise and eat. Not, let us unpack your emotional baggage. Not, tell me more about your complex feelings. Simply, arise, eat. For the journey ahead is too great for you without this essential provision. There are moments, beloved, when what appears on the surface to be commendable spiritual sensitivity, a deep attunement to the Spirit, is in reality nothing more than profound spiritual and physical exhaustion, being tragically mistaken for a divine sign to cease, to stop, to retreat. And in these precise moments, the provision God is sending you is not another confirmation, not another intellectual puzzle to solve, not another reason to pause and ponder. It is a potent divine instruction to get up, to receive the tangible sustenance and spiritual strength offered, and to move forward into the journey that awaits. Stay with me now, because what is unfolding just ahead in this message, this next layer of truth, is the very part that holds the power to break the cycle you have been trapped in for good. And I mean that not figuratively, but literally, fundamentally, definitively, because here lies the profound, often uncomfortable layer of truth that most individuals, even those earnestly seeking breakthrough, never quite permit themselves to fully touch, to honestly acknowledge, to deeply integrate the tenacious cycle you have found yourself ensnared within, the agonizing pattern of almost, where success seems perpetually within reach, yet consistently eludes your grasp at the last critical moment. The disheartening pattern of doors that appear to swing wide open only to mysteriously, frustratingly slam shut just as you approach the threshold. The endless, exhausting pattern of preparation that never seems to culminate in actual arrival in true manifestation. This cycle, idikluka to you, is not solely the result of external spiritual warfare. While demonic opposition is undeniably real and relentless, there is a far more subtle, yet equally potent force at play. There is, I must tell you plainly, something you have been inadvertently, perhaps unknowingly, doing on the inside that has been actively, consistently feeding and perpetuating this very cycle. And I articulate this truth not with the intention to condemn you, not to burden you with guilt, but rather with the profound purpose of liberating you, of empowering you with a revelation that once grasped, places the scepter of authority squarely back in your hands. The insidious pattern is this: you have been diligently, earnestly believing for the breakthrough. You have been praying for it, hoping for it, visualizing it, yet simultaneously, in a contradictory act of internal self-preservation, you have been meticulously, almost unconsciously planning for the backup. You have been standing, metaphorically, at the sacred altar of commitment, with one foot fully planted in faith, gazing toward the promise. Yet the other foot has remained subtly, stubbornly, pointed toward the nearest exit, ready for a swift retreat. This is not, let me emphasize, because you are inherently faithless, not because you deliberately harbor a spirit of unbelief. No, it is because somewhere along the arduous journey of your life, through the crucible of disappointment, through the sting of betrayal, through the harsh lessons of unmet expectations, someone or something deeply ingrained within you, the notion that fully committing to hope, allowing your heart to be utterly vulnerable and exposed to the possibility of fulfillment, was the single most dangerous, most reckless thing you could ever do. So, with commendable human instinct, you learned to protect yourself. You learned to believe yes, but never all the way. You learned to trust, but always with a meticulously mapped emergency exit clearly marked on the wall behind you, a contingency plan tucked away just in case. And in your earnest effort to survive, to guard your tender heart from further pain, you labeled this protective mechanism wisdom. You called it balance, a prudent approach to life. But heaven, with its uncompromising purity and perfect love, has an entirely different, more accurate name for it. God calls it a divided heart. And the Apostle James, in his epistle, articulated this truth with unflinching clarity. A double-minded person is unstable in all their ways and should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. That word unstable in the original Greek, often misunderstood as merely emotionally erratic or indecisive, carries a far deeper, more profound meaning. It signifies being two-souled, a spiritual schizophrenia, if you will. It means that there are, in essence, two distinct versions of you operating simultaneously within the spiritual landscape of your being. The version that genuinely, desperately believes in the promise, that longs for the breakthrough, that has invested its hope, and the other, often subliminal version that is still, even now, actively preparing for, hedging against, and unconsciously anticipating disappointment, retreat, or failure. And until those two disparate selves are fully reconciled, until you consciously and definitively choose one posture, the posture of unreserved, unwavering commitment, and hold it completely with every fiber of your being, The breakthrough will continue its agonizing pattern of arriving at the very edge of your reach, shimmering with promise, only to perpetually retreat, fading back into the unseen. This tragic cycle is not because God is capriciously withholding his goodness or playing games with your destiny. No, it is because you, in your protective stance, have not yet made the internal, unequivocal declaration, the spiritual alignment that perfectly matches and mirrors what heaven is desperately trying to release and manifest externally in your life. The internal fence you built becomes the external wall that blocks. And here, beloved, is where we arrive at the most potent, most challenging, and ultimately most liberating truth I want you to grasp and hold on to most tightly. For it is often unexpected, counterintuitive, and fundamentally challenges every single paradigm you once believed was keeping you safe. The backup plan, that meticulously constructed fortress of contingency you've relied upon, is not, as you have been led to believe, a manifestation of wisdom. It is, in fact, the barrier. The very thing you so carefully, so painstakingly built to shield yourself from the potential sting of disappointment is the precise instrument that has been actively, consistently intercepting, deflecting, and preventing your miracle from fully landing in your experience. Because authentic, kingdom-level faith, true divine trust, does not, has never, and will never operate on a hedge strategy. It does not allow for a partial investment, a conditional commitment, a just-in-case clause. When Abraham, the father of faith, was commanded by God to leave Ur of the Chaldeans, to journey to a land he did not know, the scriptural narrative does not mention him packing a return itinerary, nor does it detail him leaving behind a contingency fund with a family member in case the promised land proved to be a myth. No, he left. He stepped out in absolute, unreserved trust, burning the bridges behind him. When Jesus called his first disciples by the Sea of Galilee, inviting them to abandon their livelihood and follow him, the sacred text doesn't suggest that Peter, Andrew, James, and John first meticulously sold their fishing nets to fund their new, uncertain journey. It says simply, they left their nets. They didn't merely put them down. They abandoned them, severing their primary source of security and provision, embracing a radical, terrifying, yet utterly liberating full commitment. Full commitment in the divine economy has never been about recklessness or imprudence in a worldly sense. It has always been, at its profound core, about perfect alignment. You become a vessel that heaven can fully, unreservedly, completely fill with its glory, its power, its blessings, and its purpose, only in that sacred, decisive moment when you cease to fill yourself with the distracting, diluting, and limiting strategies of contingency. And I profoundly understand that this feels terrifying. I know, with every fiber of my being, that for some of you listening to these words, this call to full, unreserved surrender is the most daunting, the most gut-wrenchingly scary thing you have ever been asked to do in your entire spiritual journey. Not necessarily because you do not trust God, for your heart likely yearns to trust Him completely, but because the tumultuous, often brutal experiences of life have, over and over again, given you so many deeply ingrained, seemingly logical reasons not to fully trust the process, not to entrust your vulnerable heart to the unpredictable currents of divine timing and unfolding. Yet I want you to consider a liberating, paradigm-shifting question. What if the very reason the process has felt so agonizingly painful, so fraught with tension and struggle, is precisely because you have been relentlessly, albeit unknowingly, trying to manage it, to control its every twist and turn, rather than simply, fully and bravely submitting to its divine, perfecting flow? What if the constant, exhausting tension you have been living in, the spiritual strain that feels like a heavy burden, is not, in fact, the cross you are divinely called to carry with grace and fortitude, but rather it is the tightly clenched fist you have not yet dared to open, the hand stubbornly holding on to the very contingency that is creating the resistance. Open the hand, release the backup plan, step all the way through the door without a glance backward, without a single reservation, into the fullness of what awaits. Because what is truly waiting for you on the other side of this act of full, unwavering surrender is not merely the breakthrough you have longed for, though that will surely come. It is something far more profound, far more foundational. It is your authentic identity. It is the purest, most potent version of you, the one envisioned by God before the foundations of the earth, the one that has been held in waiting, not by God himself, for his desire has always been your full blossoming. Rather, it has been held captive, held in abeyance, by the last remaining lingering agreement you have consciously or unconsciously made with the insidious possibility of failure, with the shadow of past disappointment, with the protective illusion of contingency. And the moment, the sacred, transformative instant, you unequivocally dissolve that agreement, when you sever that final tether to self-preservation, something profound and undeniable in the very atmosphere around you will palpably shift. Not might shift, not could potentially shift, but will shift. It is an absolute, immutable spiritual law, because heaven has already, decisively, irrevocably rendered the verdict in your favor. You, in that quiet, defiant act of impossible faith, have already done the impossible thing in the spirit realm. All that truly remains now is for you, with a courageous and unburdened heart, to walk confidently into the courtroom of your life and hear that pre-rendered verdict declared aloud, publicly affirmed and fully manifest in your earthly experience. Place your hand on your heart right now and speak this with me. I release the backup plan. I release the divided heart. I release every agreement I have made with the possibility of failure. I dissolve every exit strategy I built from fear, and I call it what it was, a wall between me and my miracle. I choose full surrender today. Not because the path is clear, not because I have all the answers, but because I trust the one who called me more than I trust the voice that told me to protect myself. I step all the way through the door. I receive the verdict heaven has already rendered over my life. I am not almost there. I am not on my way. I have already done the impossible thing, and I walk forward now in the full authority of what that means. I am chosen. I am prepared. I am exactly who God said I was before a single voice said otherwise, and from this moment forward, I do not retreat, I do not shrink, and I do not manage what God has invited me to surrender. The breakthrough is not coming, it is here, and I receive it fully, completely, without reservation, right now. If this message met you today, do not let it leave with you alone. Share it with someone who is standing at the same threshold and does not yet have the words for what they are feeling. Leave a comment below telling me what broke open for you today. I read every single one. And if you want to go deeper into the prophetic patterns behind your calling and this season you are in, the link in the first pinned comment below holds something I believe God will use to take this revelation even further in your life. You did not find this message by accident, and you were not meant to walk through what comes next alone.